Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
A very good day. So, today we will discuss constrained motion and how to handle this constrained motion. Actually, we have already done some example of constrained motion, like writing Lagrangian for a pendulum, coplanar pendulum or double pendulum, etc. So, without bothering about the constraints. So, there are occasions when we need not bother about this, but there would be some occasions when we need to bother about that. Okay. If we have to find out the properties of the constraint applied on the system, then we must consider this. So, let us see a coplanar pendulum. So, coplanar pendulum has a length L and a bob of mass x y. So, here is it has a bob of mass m. Okay. So, here is this mass. So, if I look in the Cartesian coordinate system, so locate the bob, I require always two coordinates x and y. So, there are two coordinates in Cartesian coordinate system. However, there is a constraint, the length of the pendulum, which is L, is always fixed. So, whatever may be the value of x and y during the motion, x is changing with time, y is also changing with time, but nevertheless x square plus y square is always equal to the square of the length of the pendulum, or we can write x square plus y square minus L square is always 0. So, this kind of condition I can write formally a function of coordinates. There are two coordinates here x and y, which is x square plus y square minus L square is 0. So, this is what is my equation of constraint. Okay. So, whenever there is some constraint, number of degrees of freedom goes down. So, in Cartesian coordinate, if I had a free particle which can move not attached to any rod, etc., a particle free to move in a plane, not a free particle. We have used the word free particle for a particle where net force is 0. So, I do not mean here the same thing. Here I mean a particle is free to move on, let us say, in a plane, and it is not connected with any point on that plane. Then it will have two independent coordinates. In Cartesian coordinate it is x and y. So, they are not connected with any constraint. But when you consider pendulum, the length of pendulum is always fixed and the bob will move only on a circle. So, there is a constraint. So, as soon as there is a constraint, then x and y, they are not independent because of this constraint. So, only one of them may be considered to be independent, both cannot be, they are connected through this relationship, the length is fixed. So, x y, they are connected with each other. So, in this problem we have one constraint equation, and that is f of x y equal to 0, and f of x y is x square plus y square minus L square. So, number of degree of freedom is number of all possible coordinates minus number of constraints. Number of constraints is deducted. So, 2 minus 1. So, number of degrees of freedom is 1. If by inspection I can choose it is the angular displacement. So, generalized coordinate is 1, it is the angular displacement. But you have already seen, if I try to write kinetic energy and potential energy of this pendulum, then x y will naturally combine and you will find out Lagrangian for the system require only one independent coordinate, and that is theta. So, you can also arrive on that by following the procedure, starting writing coordinates, Cartesian coordinates, and then working out kinetic energy, potential energy, end result would be the same. Like in this problem, theta is the only independent coordinate, and you can write directly kinetic energy, potential energy in terms of theta. So, the point is, if there is a constraint, number of coordinates require to specify the position of the system becomes more than actually degrees of freedom of the system. So, you can reduce these coordinates using these constraints. Similarly, we can find out the case in coplanar pendulum. Earlier, while doing these problems, we did not bother about the constraints. We chose by inspection the correct generalized coordinates and we wrote down the kinetic energy and potential energy of the system. So, we could write Lagrangian of the system and therefore, Lagrange's equation of motion. Yes, but if we want to do this problem in Cartesian coordinate, I require 4 x 1, x 2, y 1, y 2. So, there are 2 coordinates for mass m 1 and 2 coordinates for mass m 2, because it is a coplanar pendulum, it is oscillating only in the vertical plane. But there are 2 constant equation, this length of the rod, first rod is also fixed. So, a function I can write in terms of x 1, y 1, x 2, y 2, which is x 1 square plus y 1 square minus L 1 square is 0. So, for there are 2 pendulums, this is L 1, this is L 2, and here is the coordinate x 1, x 2, this is m 1, this is m 2, here coordinate is x 1, x 2. So, this L 1 is fixed. So, I have first constant equation in general, that should be function of all coordinate etcetera, but here it is x 1 square plus y 1 square minus L 1 square, that is equal to 0. So, that is what is my first constraint equation 0. Second one is this length L 2 is fixed. So, second constraint equation is function of x 1, x 2, y 1, y 2, and that would be x 2 minus x 1 whole square plus y 2 minus y 1 whole square minus L 2 square, that is equal to 0. So, I have 2 functions of coordinates which are 0. So, we have 2 constraint equation for the system, and if we look at Cartesian coordinates or Cartesian coordinate system, we require 4 coordinates. So, degrees of freedom is number of coordinates minus number of constraint equation. So, 2. So, if we choose generalized coordinate properly, then we will require only 2 independent coordinates. So, this system has 2 degrees of freedom. Okay. So, this is also an example of constraint system, but applying Lagrange's formulation or to derive Lagrange's equation of motion, if we choose generalized coordinate properly, we need not bother about constraints. So, such kind of constraints are called holonomic constraints. Let us look at one more problem. So, in this problem, two particles are connected by a massless rod. So, there are two particles, they may be identical particle, they may be non-identical particle, that does not matter, and they are moving in a plane. So, they are moving in a plane, otherwise number of coordinates will also increase if it is moving in a space. So, the position of the first point or point mass is x 1 y 1 with respect to some coordinate axis I choose. So, I can choose somewhere a coordinate axis on this board, okay. And with respect to that the coordinate of first mass. So, this is 1, this is 2, this is 1, this is 2, they may have similar mass or they may have different masses. So, as time goes, the system of particles connected by a rod moves in the plane. So, its location is at time t 1 here, at time t 2 here. Okay. So, at any given moment of time, I require 4 coordinates in Cartesian system. So, I require 4 coordinates, but then there is a equation of constraint. The rod length is always fixed, which is L. So, L is the length of the rod and that is always fixed. So, that says x 2 minus x 1 whole square plus y 2 minus y 1 whole square equal to L square. So, that can be written this way: a function of x 1 y 1 x 2 y 2 which is equal to x, I have taken L square to the other side. So, x 2 minus x 1 whole square plus y 2 minus y 1 whole square minus L square, that is 0. So, this is my equation of constraints. So, we have 4 coordinates for planar motion of two particles connected by a rod, and there is one constraint equation. So, number of degrees of freedom for this system is 4 minus 1, 3, and independent coordinates could be the position of center of mass and the orientation of the rod with x axis or y axis. So, let us say at any moment of time, if I want to locate these two particles connected by a rod. So, let us say I will say what is the coordinate of center of mass of this system and its orientation with x axis. So, these are the 3 coordinates I require. I can say either coordinate with respect to x axis, or I could have told its orientation with respect to y axis, either of them will do. So, we require 3 coordinates to describe the position of these two particles connected by a rigid rod any time if the motion is on a plane. Okay. So, again 4 coordinate Cartesian coordinates and 3 degrees of freedom. So, it has reduced. Okay. Now, let us consider we have a system of n particles and system is working under m holonomic constraints. Like in double pendulum problem, you have seen there were two constraints. Okay, I did not tell what is holonomic constraint. So, any constraint equation that can be written as some function of coordinates and in general time equal to 0. So, this kind of constraint would be called holonomic constraint. Okay. So, a relationship between all the coordinates is given, like length of the pendulum is fixed, or you can consider circular motion of a particle. So, a particle is moving on a circle. So, r is fixed, it is moving all the time. So, if I draw x and y axis, x and y, then and this angle let us say alpha. So, r cos alpha is x and y is r sin alpha. So, x square plus y square equal to r square, right. So, my the constant equation would be f of x y, which is independent of time, x square plus y square minus r square, that is 0. So, similar kind of constant equation. Okay. Now, let us go to a system of n particles which is subjected to m such constants, and system is moving in 3 dimension. So, n particle system moving in 3 dimension. So, how many Cartesian coordinate I require to describe the location of the system uniquely? 3n coordinates. It is moving in 3 dimensional space, and I have m holonomic constraints. So, f, which is function of all 3n coordinates, and maybe it is function of time also, and that is equal to 0 for j 1 to m. So, there are m such equations. So, m constraint equations are there. Okay. So, number of degrees of freedom would be 3n Cartesian coordinate and m constant equation, which is S. So, suppose by inspection or by calculating its kinetic energy and potential energy and learning, S coordinates are required, S generalized coordinates are required. So, then I can describe the motion of the system without any difficulty. Earlier what we had done, without talking about the constraints, we had gone to generalized coordinate and picked up the right number of generalized coordinate, and we never bothered what happens to the constraints, right. So, if you can choose generalized coordinate, then we need not bother about the constant equations, unless and until we are asked to find out the value of constant causing force. For example, in pendulum problem, it is the string and tension of the string, that is what is required. So, while solving pendulum equation, we did not bother about the tension in the string, but if we have to calculate the tension, then this constraint has to be taken into account. Okay. We did not want that, we wanted only how theta is changing with time. So, solution of the equation of motion. So, we did not bother, and we assumed tension is just right enough, it will not break. But suppose you have to make a big pendulum, like Foucault pendulum for some museum, then how much should be the tension, etc., the designer has to take into account, and that time these constraints have to be considered by the designer. Okay. So, if number of constraints is subtracted, then we get number of generalized coordinate, which is also degrees of freedom. Okay. Suppose I have a system where only one type of constraints are there, all constraints are expressible in this form, then the system is called a holonomic system. For example, coplanar pendulum or double pendulum, particle moving on a circle, etc., or particles connected by a rod moving in a plane or moving in a space, they are all examples of holonomic constraints. Okay. Okay. So, if I can write the holonomic constraint equation as function of coordinates and time equal to 0, so then I can find the total differential of that. So, I take d of f for each j. So, then how do we find out the total differential? We take derivative of this function with respect to each of the coordinates, and so that is what is we do, and a differential element with respect to that coordinate. So, I will take, if my function is function of x 1, x 2, x 3, and it could be in general a function t. I will give an example, and this is given equal to d f. So, total differential would be, and let us say there are j number of equation or m number of equations. So, that means j is going from 1 to m. There are m number of constants, like in double pendulum there were 2 constants. If it is a coplanar triple pendulum, there are 3 masses, then there would be 3 constant equation. So, I have to take derivative of j with respect to x 1 and d x 1 plus derivative of f of j with respect to x 2 d x 2 and so on. So, derivative of f j with respect to x m d x m plus derivative of f with respect to t and dt if there is explicit time dependence. So, this is the total derivative of or the differential. So, I can write this as in combined notation I going from 1 to k derivative of dou f j with dou x k d x k plus derivative of dou f j with respect to time and dt. That is what we will get. So, let us say I can write in combined notation I is 1 to k, and this thing I can write I j k. So, I j k is what? Partial derivative of this constraint function with respect to the kth coordinate, that is what is a j k d x k plus this I will write jt dt. So, total derivative I can write. So, the holonomic constants may be written also in differential form, but I should be able to integrate this, and after integration I should be able to get f of x 1, x 2, x 3 and t that equals to 0. So, that means this expression should be integrable, right. So, holonomic constraints may be expressed like this or like this. It can be also expressed in terms of differential form, but then this differential should be integrable, so that I integrate it and get this one. So, when is this possible? Since I have differentiated this, so it is integrable, but I may get an expression like this directly from experiment or from some other consideration, and I do not know whether I can integrate it or not. So, I have to check then whether this expression is integrable or not. So, what is the condition of integrability? If this equation is, if it is a total differential, then only I can integrate. So, what is the condition? It is a total differential. Then I take derivative of a j k with respect to dou x I, and this must be equal to derivative of partial derivative of a j I with respect to x k. This means what? A j k is f of j and dou of x k. This is what it is. And what is this thing? This thing is dou of f j, dou x k and dou x I. So, this is the condition for integrability. That is what is written like this. So, order of differentiation with respect to ith coordinate and kth coordinate should not change. If they change, I cannot integrate this equation. That means, their partial derivatives have problem with continuity and differentiability. So, then I cannot integrate. So, when I can integrate, then this form of equation is holonomic, and when we cannot integrate, then the constant equation is called non-holonomic one. Okay. So, now let us come back to this. So, this is integrable if I have these conditions. This means order of differentiation with respect to ith and kth coordinate does not make the difference. Similarly, with time and any of the coordinate, their orders also should not make if there is explicit time dependence. If it is not true, then the system is called non-holonomic one. But here one more thing. So, let us go to okay. So, I want to give you some example where these constraints non-holonomic one, before coming to non-holonomic, holonomic one which is time dependent. So, they can be written like this, but they may be time dependent. For example, suppose I have a particle that is moving on a circle. If circle is fixed, then we know its holonomic constraint. But now suppose circle is rotating about its axis, its axis with some angular velocity omega. So, now there is time dependent. Now, its coordinate will also depend on omega t, how much angle in some time it moves some angle, and theta would be connected with this omega, right. So, delta theta would be omega dt would be delta theta, change in this angle would be omega times delta t. So, if it is rotating and circle itself is rotating, then it is a time dependent constant, but still I can handle it as holonomic constant, because this length always remains fixed whether it is rotating or it is not rotating. Okay. So, this kind of constraints where there is time dependence, but we can integrate it, they are called scleronomic constraints. Sorry, this is time independent and time dependent one is called rheonomic. This is time independent. And this is time dependent. So, double pendulum, simple pendulum and particle moving on a fixed circle, whether vertical or horizontal, etc., they are all example of scleronomic constraints. They are also called holonomic, but inside holonomic there are differentiation, time dependent and time independent. So, time independent ones are called scleronomic and those which depend on time called rheonomic, but we can handle them as holonomic constant. Now comes non-holonomic one. Okay. For a non-holonomic system, the constraint may be expressed in differential form, but we may not be able to integrate. So, from here we cannot write a function which depends on different coordinates or generalized coordinates and time that equal to 0. So, I cannot integrate. So, where is the problem? The problem is here, if we take dodo, let us say A j is some coefficient here of kth differential and A j t is coefficient of differential in time. So, if I take ith derivative of this, it is not equal to derivative of A j I with respect to kth coordinate. So, integrability is in problem. So, I cannot integrate such equations. So, then there is a severe problem, although constant equation is given, but I cannot integrate it. So, if I cannot integrate it, then from the set of coordinates I have chosen either in Cartesian coordinate or in some other coordinate system, I cannot reduce the number of coordinates. So, degrees of freedom may be less, but the number of coordinates we cannot reduce by using this equation of constraint. So, such systems are called non-holonomic, and in such systems number of degrees of freedom is less than number of coordinates required to give its mechanical state. In holonomic system, what did we get? In holonomic system we got all the constraint equations you count, you subtract, number of degrees of freedom is known. So, number of generalized coordinate is equal to the number of degrees of freedom that we have been using so far. But it was assumed all these systems had only one kind of constraints, which was holonomic. So, they were holonomic systems, but a system which is not holonomic may not follow this. So, what is the example? The famous example is rolling without slipping. No slip, but a let us say a coin or disc is rolling on horizontal plane. So, this is x axis, this is y axis, this is z axis. So, there is a disc or there is a coin that is rolling without sliding on the plane, and it is always vertical. The disc is always vertical, but it can make some angle either with xz plane or yz plane. So, this is xz plane and this is yz plane. So, this is the coin and it can make some angle with xz plane as well as yz plane. So, it could be neither in xz plane nor in yz plane, as it is moving on a curved path. So, in a fixed coordinate system, it will make some angle with xz plane or yz plane. So, disc is vertical and it is rolling without sliding, and r is the radius of the rolling disc. Okay. Alpha is the angle the plane of disc is making with the xz plane. If it is not moving on the x axis, so this angle is finite. So, disc is always vertical. If it is not moving on x axis, then it is making some angle with the xz plane. Similarly, if it is not moving on the y axis, it is making some angle with the yz plane. So, alpha I have decided the angle it is making with the xz plane. You could have taken the angle with yz plane, it is the equivalent problem, same problem. And now there is phi. So, well, disc is rolling, so it is rolling about its axis, which is now horizontal. So, about an horizontal axis it is always rolling. So, there is another coordinate phi. Suppose I make on the coin a radius is put in colored some blue color or something. So, now I watch the rolling motion and see how this marked radius is making some angle with a reference line on or some horizontal line passing through the center of the disc and in the plane of the disc. So, how much angle it is making? So, as it turns, so there is some angle that is always made here, and x y is the Cartesian coordinate of point of contact. So, now for this problem, if I have to specify the location of the system at any moment of time, I require 4 quantities. What are those? First, coordinate of the point of contact or center of mass, either of these things. So, we have freedom to choose either coordinate of the center of mass or the point of contact with the ground, and then how much angle at a given moment it has made with a reference line on the disc, and what is the angle it is making with the xz plane. It can go in zigzag motion. So, angle it will make with some fixed xz plane is going to change as it is rolling and moving. So, there are 4 coordinates which are required, and what are the constraint, what is the rolling condition? If it does not have to slip, its x velocity must be r omega cos alpha. Omega is phi dot, omega is the angular velocity which is phi dot, angular velocity of the disc or the coin that is rolling. So, phi dot cos alpha r times phi dot cos alpha, that is the x velocity which is x dot. Similarly, V y is y dot, that is r phi dot sin alpha. So, if it is moving along the curve, so there are its velocity is, as it is rolling, its velocity is r omega. So, that is what is r omega, r phi dot, and now it is making some angle with xz plane. So, cos alpha and sin alpha has come. So, x dot is r phi dot cos alpha and y dot is phi dot sin alpha. So, I can write this in terms of a differential condition. So, x dot is dx dt and phi dot is d phi dt. Okay. So, I can write in terms of these differentials dx and d phi. So, dx minus r cos alpha d phi equal to 0. I put both the things on same side, and similarly I have dy minus r sin alpha d phi 0. So, these are the constant equation in differential form. If I can integrate this, then I can reduce the number of degrees of freedom, no, number of coordinates. Number of degrees of freedom is less, because there were 4 coordinates required and there are 2 constraint equation. So, in principle it has 2 degrees of freedom, not 4 degrees of freedom, but can we find out 2 generalized coordinate? If we can find out, then we do not have to bother about the constraints. Like we did for holonomic system, we will continue, but it is not integrable. The coefficient of d phi involves alpha and there is no d alpha. So, if we take derivative of this with respect to phi, it would be non-zero, and since d alpha is not appearing, the coefficient is 0. So, integrability condition is violated. So, I cannot integrate. So, I cannot reduce the number of coordinates. So, instead to define its location, I will always require 4 coordinates. We do have 2 constraints, but we cannot have 2 generalized coordinate. We require 4 coordinates. So, this is a system where number of generalized coordinate is more than number of degrees of freedom. So, this is a special case of non-holonomic constraints. So, in non-holonomic constraints, number of generalized coordinates is generally more than the number of degrees of freedom. Okay. So, suppose I have a non-holonomic system and that consists of n particles and motion is in 3 dimension. Let us say 3D motion of a system of n particles. So, number of Cartesian coordinate is 3n, number of constant equation is m. So, independent degrees of freedom is 3n minus 1. Now, by inspection I find out there are S generalized coordinate I require to locate its position, and in generalized coordinate also we find there are L equations of constraints, but I cannot reduce my degrees of freedom because there is a non-holonomic constraint. So, although degrees of freedom is less than the number of generalized coordinate, I cannot make number of degrees of freedom equal to the generalized coordinate, because a case of non-holonomic constraint. So, here number of degrees of freedom would be S minus L. So, this is the problem in Cartesian coordinate and this is in generalized coordinate. This is in Cartesian coordinate. However, number of degrees of freedom has to be the same. So, 3n minus m must be equal to S minus L, right. In holonomic system, this was not required because all constraints were used to reduce degrees of freedom, and when we write S degrees of freedom, they are the independent degrees of freedom. So, that is equal to the generalized number of generalized coordinates is equal to the number of degrees of freedom for holonomic system, but that is no more the case, but degrees of freedom have to be the same. So, this equation has to be valid. Okay. So, now I show you one simple case. Now, the issue comes, suppose I have so let us consider a problem you are all familiar with, a particle moving in a circle. Okay. Radius of the circle is r and this angle is theta. This is my x axis which I call x1, this is my y axis which I call x2. Okay. So, we have x1 equal to r cos theta and x2 equal to r sin theta, and there is a constraint x square, x1 square, x2 square equal to r. Okay. So, this is my constraints. Now, in generalized coordinate we have only one, we have a generalized coordinate which is theta, which I will call q1, right. So, this is a case of holonomic one. So, whether we have a holonomic one or non-holonomic one, suppose we require to transform from one coordinate system to the other coordinate system. So, what should we do? Suppose I solve the problem in generalized coordinate and I want to transform my results in the Cartesian coordinate. there is some design problem and a theoretician solved the problem using a complicated coordinate system and found the solution. Now, the designer requires to understand in the coordinate system he is familiar with or she is familiar with, right. So, transformation from one, let us say, Cartesian coordinate system where two coordinates are required and generalized coordinates where only one coordinate is required, then there is a problem. So, how will you go? So, how do you handle this? So, what we do, one generalized coordinate is theta that we keep and we define one artificial coordinate and give same symbol as generalized coordinate, but it is not generalized coordinate that we know. So, that is, let us say, the constraint, the r, which is fixed. So, I say my q 2 is r. So, that it looks like in generalized coordinate I have two coordinates and Cartesian coordinate I have two coordinates. So, I may do transformation if the Jacobian matrix of transformation is non-zero. If the transformation matrix and determinant of that is non-zero. So, this a trick is done to facilitate transformation from one coordinate to other coordinate. So, now what I can say? So, I can say x 1 equal to q 2 cos theta and x 2 equal to q 2 sin theta, and sin theta we are calling q 1. So, right, theta we are calling q 1, that is my generalized coordinate, and r we are calling q 2. So, now we have two Cartesian coordinates and they look as if there are two generalized coordinate, but we know q 2 is some constant r, that is all, but that is all right. For my transformation everything is ready. So, the Jacobian from x 1 x 2 to q 1 q 2 and determinant of that means what? I have to take derivative of x 1, partial derivative with respect to 1 and its derivative with respect to q 2, and similarly partial derivative of x 2 with respect to q 1, partial derivative of x 2 with respect to q 2. So, if there were n such coordinate here and n such coordinate we designed, out of that s is generalized coordinate and some n minus s is some artificial generalized coordinate, those constants are used. Then I can write here n by n determinant. So, if this is non-zero, then only I can do the transformation. So, let us see in this case what happens. So, if I take derivative with respect to q 1, I get minus q 2 sin q 1, and if I take derivative with respect to q 2, I get cos q 1, and similarly derivative of this with respect to that q 2 cos q 1 and derivative with respect to q sin q 1, right. So, determinant gives me minus q 2 sin square q 1 plus q2 cos square q1. So, this is minus q2 which is equal to minus r which is non-zero. So, there is a transformation possible, and what would be the transformation? If I take the division here, so this will give me tan q1 equal to x2 by x1. So, q1 is tan inverse x2 by x1, and I will also have the other relationship q2. q2 is x1 square plus x2 square root. So, I have a transformation from these two coordinates. So, this can be achieved for holonomic constraints as well as non-holonomic constraints, right. So, I showed you using a very simple example where there were two Cartesian coordinate and one generalized coordinate. So, I will make some artificial generalized coordinates. So, number both the sides are same. So, whether it is non-holonomic or holonomic, when the numbers are not same, then we will use the constraint equation and make it that way, so that a transformation matrix can be found out, which is a square matrix, and then we can talk about its determinant, and if it is non-zero, then transformation from a generalized coordinate and Cartesian coordinates are possible. Okay. So, thank you very much.